Game on. It's Scott with Rafters, Sports and Movies, and it's time to talk some small ball. And yes, Kramer, that is a Titleist. Look up the reference if you don't know what that means. Okay, so today I'm excited. It's a funny story. So I'm going to tell you the most compressed version of this story. We interviewed Glenn Owen up here, friend of the channel, and he says, "Hey, I think you might enjoy having a friend of mine on the channel." That's who we're fixing to talk to. But the funniest thing was let me get my fingers right, 2 days prior, I actually watched this movie, and it is The Long Shot, written by Drew Mackintosh. So coming to the stage right now, he is in the rafters. Drew, thank you so much for being with me today. It's Drew Mackintosh.
What's going on, Rafters Nation? Thanks for having me on, Scott.
I really appreciate you. Legend's really super excited. There he is, but he gets really nervous when we have interviews because people can't understand him except for me. So let's go back to young Drew. Was this a young Drew aspiration to have something that you had written become a movie, or did that come a little later?
I mean, I think it came a little later. I will say my mom was a writer. And so she probably passed down her writing genes to me. So I always enjoyed writing, but I didn't really tap into it later in life when I was sort of at a little bit of a dead-end corporate job on the West Coast. And so I just tried my hand at screenwriting. And, being on the West Coast, there's a lot of people in the entertainment industry. And I got feedback from them, and I sent my stuff around, made some inroads, got representation for a while, took some general meetings. It was great, but nothing ever really materialized. But I found something I really like to do, and so I continued to write. I had grown up in Dallas, moved to the West Coast for job purposes. Then I started my own business. I moved back to Austin with my family. And I thought that was going to be sort of the end of my whole screenwriting aspirations. But, I fell in with some other like-minded creatives. We started workshopping ideas, and then we ultimately hit on the idea that became The Long Shot.
So when you were in California, was that more of a gun for hire situation? I'll write you what you want, or was it, I have ideas, let's get my ideas on the big screen?
Oh, it was my ideas. I was trying to go the traditional route of, writing a script, getting representation, taking general meetings, trying to get someone to buy my script or package it with writers or a director and actors to then sell it as a package to studios. And it's difficult when it's your full-time job to, actually get something sold and made. It's even more difficult when you're also balancing, a full-time job and a wife and young kids and all the things that go along with that. So yeah, that was sort of the genesis of it. But then the stars aligned.
But then you're in Austin, and Austin's like a mini Hollywood in and of itself, just like Georgia's quickly becoming a mini Hollywood. Yeah. Littler, still able to get things done, and there's definitely contacts in the area. And you actually shot this movie in Austin.
We did.
Well, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, this is ultimately, at the end of the day, it is it's been marketed as a sports movie, and there's definitely sports elements to it, but it's a love letter to the city of Austin too, and just sort of how it's changing for better or for worse, and just the influx of people that have come in over the last, say, 10 to 15 years, and how it's kind of changing the landscape of the city, and just the importance of, hanging on to shared spaces, preserving them, places like municipal golf courses, so we don't lose that essence that makes Austin a unique city.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely know what you're talking about there. So when we're talking Long Shot and the idea for the movie, was it always municipal golf in Austin, or did it grow to that? Or when you were, because this wasn't an overnight, banged it out one night, I'm done. This was.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to tell a story about Austin, you know, like I said, how it's changing. And we thought, what a great way to tell that story if you set it on a municipal golf course. It's under threat of extinction, you know, and sort of a disparate band of misfits sort of come together to try to save that municipal golf course from development. There's actually a golf course here in Austin that's sort of facing that same fate, which is in sort of a nice neighborhood close to downtown. It's very expensive real estate, but people are very passionate about hanging on to this municipal golf course because it's cheap recreation. It draws from all walks of life, and it's just a great place for people to kind of come together and, you know, have an inexpensive, you know, outdoor round of golf.
Okay. So let me run through the cast that rounded this out. We had Ryan Hansen as Ray Mueller, our hero. We had Adrianne Palicki as Samantha Lambert, the person that kind of stirred the pot and got things kind of riled up. We have Reggie Bush as Dan Starling, and his wife Lilit Bish as Elise Crowley, which is interesting. We had Temple Baker as Travis Barnett, Justin Chatwin as Dylan Huckabee, probably got that wrong. Bobo Hoang as Danny Wynn, Bill Wise as Dale Stockton, rest in peace, Bill Wise, and Christopher St. Marie as Quentin Lone Man. I like that, Lone Man.
Yeah.
So I enjoy. So tell us a little bit about working, or, you know, how this came about and how you, well, let's jump right into it. How'd you get Reggie Bush?
So that was pretty interesting. We wanted to have something, you know, to really build up the third act of the movie. And, you know, we reference early in the movie sort of the 2006 national championship, you know, which was an epic game. If anyone knows anything about college football, it's probably one of the best, you know, games ever played. So there's a reference to it just sort of as a jibe, because there is sort of a friendly rivalry between Texas and California. The municipal consultant played by Adrianne Palicki, who sort of is there to sort of shake things up at the municipal golf course. She's from Southern California. And we thought, wouldn't it be fun if we were able to get Reggie Bush and Vince Young, you know, who were the prominent players in that 2006 national championship, to sort of renew their rivalry in the third act as part of, you know, this over-the-top golf tournament that they put on. And so that was the original idea. And it became one of these things of, you know, Reggie says he's going to do it as Vincent, and Vince says he's going to do it as Reggie, and sort of this back and forth. And, you know, a few days out from filming, Vince says, I can't do it. I've got a conflict. So sorry, I'm out. And we thought, okay, well, that's too bad. But Reggie's representation said, hey, he'd still love to be a part of this movie. He loves golf. He's actually an ambassador for Travis Matthew, the golf apparel company. Would you still be interested, you know, if you can find a part for him? And we said, absolutely, yeah, we'll figure something out. Let's get Reggie on the books. And they said, you know, his wife is also looking to, you know, diversify and break into acting, and she's very talented as well. So she read for the part of, you know, she's a local real estate agent, you know, who sort of sets in motion, you know, the possibility of the course getting sold because she does an appraisal. So we got both of them in the movie, sort of, and I think this happens a lot with independent film, you know, a setback becomes an opportunity to kind of explore a different way of doing things that turn out to be really good.
So you end up having a sports story within a sports story within a sports story.
Yeah, and they were both great. Reggie, you know, he's very comfortable on camera. He does a lot of stuff on college football game days and that kind of stuff. So he was great. was very willing to do multiple takes. Same with his wife, and we were happy to have him on set, both of them. It was funny because I think a lot of people on set, the crew, they don't get too fazed with being around actors, seeing them on set. But with Reggie Bush, that really, a lot of people in the crew were, kind of starstruck, just because of his, stellar college career and then on into the pros. So it was pretty neat to have him there.
Yeah, that's crazy. But golf is such a sport that transcends all walks of life. I mean, when a lot of people want to relax, what do? They go play golf.
Yeah.
And when they're stressed out, what do? They go play golf. And if you don't have a municipal golf course close by, you could be paying an arm and a leg to play golf.
Yeah. And that's what we want. I mean, I'm a municipal golf guy. I'm not a member of a country club. And I played on a lot of nice courses. But I think that probably my most enjoyable rounds have been on municipal golf courses where I've just gone off as a single with 3 other guys I just met at the first tee box. It's just one of those fun experiences that, you don't often get to do in your day-to-day life.
Right. So I noticed something at the very first part of the movie. We have our hero, Ray Mueller, swimming in his swimming hole with his 2 buddies, and that's Quentin and Travis. They're swimming at their secret swimming hole, which really isn't secret. And we get the first whiff of he's looking for his spirit guide.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't really, he doesn't dive into that much anymore. But I did notice as Danny Wynn's character, or Danny Wynn, the character Danny Wynn, played by Bobo Hoang, drives them back to the course. On the hood, they have a shot from the top. On the hood is a salamander.
Salamander, yeah.
So I definitely saw it. So that's a callback to your original title for the movie.
Yeah.
I'll let you.
So the original title was going to be The Salamander King, which is a reference to the blind salamander, which is an endangered species here in Austin. And it basically preserves this Edwards Aquifer, which is, pristine greenbelt area of Austin. And it leads ultimately to a spring-fed large pool called Barton Springs Pool. And activists back in the 90s got an ordinance passed that didn't allow any development in that area. As a result, it was the natural habitat of this blind salamander. And so we thought, it's a good metaphor for these people that inhabit the golf course. They are sort of misfits and endangered species to a certain extent because they're artists, they're musicians, they're, just people that are looking to get by. And it's becoming harder and harder for those people to, just make a living and get by and live in the city that they love. So, their leader was Ray Mueller, the head pro at the municipal golf course. And so he was our Salamander King. And we really liked the title. The distributor that we ultimately went with wasn't as in love with that title and thought that it would confuse people, and they were probably right. So we ended up with The Long Shot, which we're fine with too.
I would have loved to have had a subtitle, The Adventure of the Salamander King.
Yeah. Just give it a little, and that's the thing about, marketing in movies. It's completely different than marketing anywhere else, where you try to differentiate yourself or you try to grab people's attention with something unique in the title. Independent film, and particularly ones that, go to streamers, they're looking to, make your movie sound as much like something that they've already seen or something they think they would like as possible. So make it golf related or make it, something that's, easily digestible, rather than the Salamander King that kind of makes them think. And, they may pass over it because they think, well, what is this, a nature documentary? And I don't know if I want anything to do with that. So,
But your second title was the MUNY.
Yeah, that was going to be our original title, was MUNY. And I thought that was golf related enough and punchy enough. We decided against it from the beginning because, like I said, there is a municipal golf course here called Lions Municipal Golf Course that is going through a similar fate as the one we sort of depict in the movie. And we didn't really want people to conflate that locally, that we were trying to, tell a story about this local municipal golf course. So we shied away from that. And then, we actually offered that up as a secondary title, and the distributor didn't love that either. So we ended up with the long shot.
I still like the long shot works for me.
Good. All right, good.
And I enjoyed it. And I'm going to see if I can pull this up. So I'm going to pull up a photo, and let's see if I can get this to work right. And fingers crossed this works right, because I have not done this very much. So let's see. I'm just going to do a share screen, and I'm going to jump over here to this screen. Okay, so what everybody should be seeing on their screen right now, is the what would you call that? The poster, if you will.
Yeah. On the left hand side, that's the poster. I guess that's our IMDb page. That kind of you can go there, get a synopsis of the movie. There's some ratings on there and some quick facts about who's in it, and cast and crew, and maybe some other little notes about the movie.
So the thing I'm drawing your attention to is Ray Mueller's bathrobe.
Yeah.
And so in that photo, in the poster, he's got a bathrobe on. He doesn't wear a bathrobe in the movie.
He does. It's not for very long, but
such a short amount of time.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So, there's a scene early morning before the big golf tournament. He takes a bath in a kiddie pool outside of his Airstream.
Right. Which he's got shorts on. He's got swim trunks on while he's doing this.
He does have swim trunks on, yes. But I think that he's got the bathrobe. And also when there's the big confrontation with the municipal consultant, Sam, he's sitting on the throne of golf clubs, and I think he's wearing the robe there too.
Okay. I totally, I've watched it multiple times now, and I was looking for it, but I got caught up in the story again and missed it, like the times that it was in there. But I do like that it gives you the whole visual of slacker, ne'er-do-well, the dude. It reminds me of the dude from Big Lebowski, which is so iconic. And people attune the dude to that sweater. That people always think of that sweater. He doesn't wear that sweater that much in that movie at all. Everybody zoned in on that. So I thought that was kind of fun. Anything interesting or funny that happened while filming the movie? I'm assuming you're in some of those group shots. I'm assuming you were a body in some of those group shots.
Yeah, too. I show up in a couple of scenes in background. There was a lot. So the course we shot it on is this course out in Spicewood, Texas, which is 45 minutes outside of Austin. But we made it seem like it was, 5 minutes from downtown with the little, CGI movie magic that had the skyline in the background. But it was shot on this golf course that's owned by Willie Nelson in Spicewood. And he built this 9-hole golf course basically for when he wasn't on the road touring, for him and his buddies that also live around that area. And that place was a character in and of itself. It's so quirky. The regulars that were out there, they also show up in a lot of, just kind of B-roll shots in the movie. So it was great just hanging out there. We could have it, the whole thing, for as long as we wanted to shoot for, I think it was $25,000, or they said, we can continue to let members play here and you guys can just shoot around those members for $5,000. So we'll take the $5,000 option, because there's not that many people ever playing out on that golf course, particularly in the dead of, we shot in mid-June. So it was really hot. And during the week, there really wasn't that many people around, although we always managed to have sort of, some production assistants just make sure that the coast was clear and nobody was teeing off whenever we were about to shoot a scene. So it was really great to sort of mingle and interact with a lot of the locals. And, some other fun things we did. There's an iconic strip club in Austin called the Yellow Rose that never lets anyone really shoot there. For whatever reason. But we knew the guy that owned the lease of of that establishment, and he agreed to let us shoot there as long as we were out of there by noon. So we literally showed up at this strip club at 7 a.m, which walking into a strip club at 7 a.m. is so surreal. So to be in that kind of to be in that kind of environment, like first thing in the morning, was a little disorienting, but it was pretty funny to do. And then I'd say the last location that was really neat was the swimming hole that you referenced. It's a place called Krause Springs, which is a family-owned spring that they open it up to the public in the summer, and it's really, a lot of people go there to kind of cool off, and it's great. But they let us have that for 2 days. I can't remember what we paid for that, but it was the coolest thing because we were on this really neat property with this swimming hole all to ourselves for 2 days. And the water was just beautiful. They got a rope swing there. They've got, barbecue pits. Some of the crew and cast, we did a cookout one of the nights. Some guys slept over that night, and we had a blast. It was such a fun environment to be in. So those are definitely some fun things.
Were any of the actors afraid that we're in the swim hole scene not at the end, but in the middle where they take Sam on a tour of Austin and they end up at the swim hole? Were any of them like, I'm not swimming. I'm an actor. I'm not a swimmer.
No, it was a pretty controlled environment. And like I said, it's not all that wild of environment. They open it up to the public. So, but it is natural water. And I think there was a few water snake sightings that we kept, under wraps for people that would be afraid of that kind of scene. But usually they, obviously they wouldn't mess with us when, we were splashing around in the water. Most people thought it was a blast.
You had to have your swim safe stuff in place and people in the water to grab, even though they're mostly floating. There's some jumping, and you might have had a stunt person or two do some flips.
we had a stunt coordinator there, and we had a guy that we had in the ready if Ray, played by Ryan Hansen, couldn't hit the flip coming off the rope swing, but of course he hit it, and we didn't need the guy. So yeah, Ryan's great. He's a super talent, and also a bit of a gymnast too. So he nailed it first try.
Nowadays, I think we always assume that those are stunt people, and it's amazing that was him that actually did that.
Yeah, he's great.
Today's environment, you don't get that. Sure, I'll do that. You get
he's a gamer.
Unless you're Tom Cruise, and he'll do any stunt, right? He's already done that. So before we get to 4 to 5 questions in 4 to 5 seconds, there is a dedication at the end of the movie I noticed, and I wanted you to touch on that real quick.
Yeah. So Allison Baker is the mom of Temple Baker, who plays Travis Burnett in the movie. And she suddenly passed away at the end of filming, maybe a week after we wrapped. And obviously it was a shock to him, and it was a shock to everybody that knew her or knew Temple. And we just thought it's the least we could do to kind of pay tribute to her, to just kind of at the end of the movie, just, in loving memory of her. It's we're happy that's there.
I'm very happy that's there too. And knowing the backstory behind that really touches my heart and makes me feel glad that I've met this movie and now met you and got to talk to you about it a little more. And Temple, our thoughts and prayers are still with you when you get to watch this. And I'm sorry for your loss. So 4 to 5 questions in 4 to 5 seconds. Here we go. You ready?
Ready.
What is your favorite sports moment?
It's got to be that 2006 national championship game. I mean, I was there at the Rose Bowl. It was incredible. So that I got to put that at the top of the list.
Such an interesting stadium too, don't you think? Just the stadium itself.
I mean, it's great. I mean, it's Southern California in January. The sky is pink, and it's one of those old classic bowls, and it was just an electric night.
Okay, good choice. First sports movie you remember watching as a kid?
Ooh, first sports movie. I mean, I'd say probably Bad News Bears. I would say, that's a classic. Walter Matthau and ragtag bunch of misfits. I'd say that was probably my first one.
We actually saw that the opening weekend. I saw that in the theaters as a kid, and we got lost on the way to the theater. And I'm actually crying. I'll admit it. I was crying because we were not going to get to see it, so we didn't get to see it that day because we took a wrong turn. And this was back, this was way before GPS.
Yeah,
we're lucky we got anywhere back in the day. How did we get anywhere? You pull over and ask directions, and they actually knew how to get you somewhere. Good choice. Yeah, that's my very first movie, sports movie. What is your favorite motivational sports movie? And yes, you can say The Long Shot too, if that's what you pick, because I see that as a motivational movie.
Yeah, it's definitely an underdog story. We've given that plenty of love. I'm a fan of Rudy. I would say Rudy, or if motivational. Yeah, I mean, if it's got to be motivational, I'd go with Rudy. Another underdog, story that I love is obviously Tin Cup with Kevin Costner. You can throw Bull Durham in there too. Just great. People chasing their dreams, and particularly if they're in sort of the margins of a sport, and they finally have their breakthrough later in life. I always find that inspiring.
All right. Love it. Last one's a little more lighthearted. If those other three weren't lighthearted enough, favorite movie or snack. So you're going to settle in for your favorite movie ever, and you're going to have magically appear before you a snack and a drink. What would that be? What would you order up?
I mean, it's pretty generic, but I mean, just, fresh popcorn and a Coke. You can't go wrong with that. Why mess with perfection?
So do you want it the air pop popcorn or microwave would do?
Oh, air pop. I want it, whatever's behind the counter at the movie theater, that stuff that comes out, erupts out of that canister. Like that's what I want.
And what drink of choice?
I'll just go with the classic Coke.
Okay, just a Coke with plenty of ice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. I get so many different answers for that question. I get you think of anything, and yep, I've had that answer. So I always like to end with that, because there's no right answer. Just like the other ones, there's no right. It's all about what you would like. Any final thoughts about the movie other than, yes, we want you to go see The Long Shot if you haven't already. It is streaming out there.
Yes.
So go check it out. But anything else?
Rafters Nation, we need you to support this movie. It's independently financed, independently produced. Independent film lives or dies by the people that actually support it. And, if this sounds like a movie that's, in your wheelhouse, it's got everything. I mean, it's a sports movie. It's an underdog story, little elements of rom-com. So it's a great date movie night. We got something for everybody. And it's also 95 minutes. It's a throwback, feel-good comedy. And so it's available. We'd love for you to rent it or buy it or buy the DVD. They're all available. You can find us on Amazon for a purchase or to rent, also on Apple And if you want to sit through ads, it's also now on Tubi. So check us out.
So one more thing, I did notice, and you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but in a scene in the Airstream trailer, there's a plush animal. That plush animal was the blind salamander, right?
Yeah. I mean, credit to the props department. I have no idea where they got that. I didn't even know they would make something like that. But yeah, that is a representation of the blind salamander. I'd like to know where that ended up. I'd like to have that as a little keepsake.
Right, that would be a great thing for you to have in your office as a keepsake from this journey that you've gone on. Do you have any projects coming up that we need to keep an eye out for, or can you tease those yet?
Nothing imminent right now. The director of this movie, Austin Nichols, and I have a project that's being shopped right now that hopefully will find a home. But that's going to go the more traditional route of trying to sell it to a streamer and then, make it with that institutional money rather than, going the independent route. And then I've got another independent film screenplay that I've written that's kind of, sort of small town Texas based that, if this thing does well enough, we can go back to the well and maybe do another independent film. But again, those are sort of early days.
Okay. Well, definitely keep an eye out for Drew Mackintosh. And Drew, keep me in the loop. Even if it's not sports, I'd love to be a sounding board for you if I could.
Good deal.
Sports thing, but we talk all sorts of movies. We really do. I mean, I made a Seinfeld reference, and that's been gone for several years now. So hang tight. I'm going to put you in the back room. We're going to close this out.
All right.
Big shout out, big thank you. You heard Legend was very quiet during the interview, but I think he had a good yes, Legend. Thank you. He enjoyed the interview. He's enjoyed the movie. He's watched it with me, of course. And the movie, of course, is The Long Shot. Get it right. The Long Shot. 3 words, my friends. And it is a good movie time. I believe he told me it was 95 minutes. It's not a super long movie. You will enjoy it. Go check it out. I'm Scott. This is Rafters, Sports and Movie. This game's over, but we're going to have more. We'll see you soon.